Welcome to the accounting training. My name is Andy. Today we're going to show you how to get your loads from the delivered completed status through to accounting manager, and we're going to create a invoice. So starting with the loads being in either delivered or completed status. The difference is when one load is being delivered, that truly means it is delivered. When the accounting individual comes into the load, they confirm that the rates are correct, the carrier payables are correct, and anything that needs to be added is done. Once saved, they can change it to completed. Then it gives you the ability, when you go to accounting manager, it gives you the ability to invoice a load. So the loads that are in delivered status will be here in delivered. You will not have the option to invoice. Okay, so what you can do, we're going to change that to completed. Once it has been changed to completed, you will see under accounting manager, completed, both loads have the option to create an invoice. So to the left-hand side, you have either edit, notes, in which you can add other notes to it, like notes that you want to appear on an invoice. Or if you're using QuickBooks, invoice descriptions in QuickBooks, this will show up in the description field inside of QuickBooks. Okay. So at this point in time, we're just going to click on the little white piece of paper. It's going to say, by continuing, an invoice number will be assigned to this load. Do you wish to continue? We're going to say, okay. Once it has done so, it is either going to open it up right directly in a PDF printout, or it's going to ask you to save it. I'm going to just save it. I'm then going to go up to the top right-hand side, open it up in a print preview through Adobe Reader. And this is what an invoice will look like from ITS Dispatch. Because I have a logo, I have that up in the top left-hand corner. I have the invoice number, the invoice date, the payment terms, and if there is any work order or reference number, I would have it here showing to the right-hand side. The bill to, our load details. Okay. You have your shipper, you have your consignee information, and then you have your total line haul rate, and then any notes that you have, like for us, for the permanent notes. Okay, so this would be your invoice that you can invoice to your customer, and it has now moved to the invoiced section, load 1155. Now, by clicking on the invoice tab, you can uninvoice that load if you need to, go back inside and make any changes. All right, and here, oops, let's just do so you can see that. Clicking on this green arrow. Are you sure you want to undo this invoice? We're going to say okay. At this point in time, it has now moved it back to the completed status, where I can go back inside of the load and make any dollar amount changes. Perhaps I have to add an additional charge like lumper fees or waiting time. Again, I can do so through here. Once saved, at this point in time, you will go to the right-hand side. You can click on the little white piece of paper, and again, it says, by continuing, an invoice number will be assigned to this load. Say, okay, that load now has moved to the invoice. Once the load is moved to the invoice, and you want to receive payment, you can go to mark paid. It then moves it to the invoice paid section. So now what happens if you go to do a search? Let's just go quickly, load finder, and I want to go search, and I want to see all the loads that I have done and the load status. So it shows me the invoice date, shows that it's paid. It's not just invoiced, so you can see it through here. So that's one of the reasons you might want to mark it within ITS Dispatch paid, so you can come back inside and look at it. All right, so let's exit out of there. So now what we've done is we've completed these loads. When I refresh my page, they will disappear from your delivered completed section. Again, once you've moved them to completed, invoiced, again, it is going to move it to your invoiced status. All right. Okay, so now let's exit out of there. and we're going to go to our accounting. We're going to go to our driver pay manager. So now once a load is moved to either delivered or completed, we can then run a report, and we see load number 1151 has been completed, and say I want to pay the driver on this load. I'm going to put a check mark over to the left-hand side. I am going to go preview and say, would you like to add any reoccurring additions, deductions, items to the settlement? I'm going to say okay. Here it gives me the ability to add any reoccurring pay or reoccurring deductions. Reoccurring pay can be like safety bonus, deductions can be spousal support, etc. Then you're going to go to the bottom right-hand side, you're going to click Save. It's going to open up a print preview through Adobe Reader. Okay, and once we've gone to Save and Preview and it's done so, again, it's just going to open up this window. I'm going to go to the top right-hand side, click on my driver pay. This is what a driver pay would look like through ITS Dispatch. So you've got your company information on the left-hand side. You have the driver's name and his address on the right-hand side with his telephone number, the report date, the search from, search to, and the generation date. Now, I only have one load at the time, but you can have multiple loads in here. It'll give you a subtotal and a total at the end, showing the load number, the pickup date, the delivery date, the loaded miles, because he's getting paid 45 cents a mile, and the empty miles. Those are his rates, and then the total dollar amount. As simple as that. Now, if you wish to email this to the driver, you can go down to File, or go, up to File, Save As, save it somewhere to your computer. Once you've saved it, then you're going to open up your email source and you can send it to your driver. This is what a driver pay would look like based on a driver that's paid by the mile. You do have the options of paying a driver 3 different ways. Either per mile, percentage, or hourly. It is one or the other. It cannot be all 3. If I was to change this driver to percentage and then I refresh my page, everything is going to change to percentage. So I cannot have it one or the other. If we need to have Andy as a percentage driver, I'll create Andy with brackets percentage, Andy mileage, possibly Andy hourly. And then that way, when your dispatcher is selecting the driver, he can say, well, Andy 1 or Andy 2, Andy 3, etc. Okay, so he can pick the one that he needs to for this load. And then when it comes time to do your driver pay, you'll select the driver. And then once you've done so, you're going to go run report. Okay, once you've run the report, you can put a check mark over on the left-hand side of the loads you want to pay them on. Then click Preview, add any reoccurring additions or deductions. Click Save and Preview. Again, once it opens up, it's going to ask you to save it. I'm going to click Save. It tells me it already exists. I go here. This is a driver with 2 loads. Okay, so we got our first load and we have our second load. Okay, simple as that. That is your driver pay. Our next step is if we have, and we're for brokering freight, we have any external carrier pay we need to take care of. Go to Accounting, Carrier Pay Manager. Okay, we're going to go Run Report. Now you can select the date range in which you want to select it from, or again, I'm just going to click Run Report. It brings everything in. At this time, I want to do a carrier pay bill for load number 1155. Clicking on Receive Bill. So does this carrier bill match agreed rate? I'm going to say yes. Okay, the load number is 1155, but still I want to put in the, say the carrier's invoice number. Okay, select the date that has been received, click Save. At this point in time, I can go to the left-hand side, click on the little check box. I can go Preview. It's going to open up a print preview through Adobe Reader of a carrier pay report. And this is what a carrier bill would look like from ITS Dispatch. So you have your company information over on the top left-hand side, carrier pay report, the load number, today's date, ship date, the dispatcher who dispatched the load, the phone number. Okay, so we have the carrier's name, And because they're using a factoring company, it shows the factoring company up top, AccuTrack Capital, care of Concord Transport, their phone number, the equipment required, the agreed rate. Okay, the bill received was invoice number 12345, received date, the shipper and consignee, and then the total pay amount. So again, this is what a carrier pay report would look like. I can print this report, cut the check, and send it off. Simple as that. All right, so let's exit out of there. Once you do this, you can actually generate that as well. When I click generate, it is going to move it to completed. So I know when I run a report, I can see all the loads that have been completed. Okay, I can reprint them if need be. Okay, so I see that load's been completed. I don't pay that carrier twice on the same load. Okay, now I can unpay it if I needed to make some changes. Oops, get my mouse back here. Okay, I can unpay it, and it'll put it back into Carrier Pay Manager New. Or I can preview it to look at what it looks like again. All right, so that covers us now for our invoices, our driver pay, and our Carrier Pay Manager. We're going to touch on our sales reps. If you have sales reps, how to set a sales rep up. As simple as going on to admin, users. You have to be an administrator of the account. You need to make them a sales rep. By clicking on the green shield, you will indicate that this person is going to be a sales rep. Clicking on the pencil to the right, go on commissions, select the drop down, select add a new pay schedule. Okay, you can put a default commission, gross margin or base rate margin or advanced commissions, put in the commission rate, save it again, and then again it will give you, in this case I'm just going to quickly show you what I have already. So I've got, he gets paid 10% of the margin. This would be after either driver cost or carrier cost. So I've got my invoice rate, say $1,000. My carrier gets paid $800. He's going to get 10% of $200, what's left. Okay. All right. So now we've got the carrier set, sales rep set up. Go to accounting, sales rep commissions. I'm going to select the sales rep. Andy, click run report. These are all the loads that Andy is a sales rep on. So let's go inside of a load. In order to attach Andy to a load, we need to click on the drop down, select the sales rep that we want to be on this load, or when you set up your customer, say Andy always gets paid on loads for Andy's Dreaming, okay, I can select the sales rep that I want to get paid on it. Okay, so every time I create a load with Andy's Dreaming, it is automatically going to put Andy in here. Now, if Andy's Dreaming didn't have that, I can then select the drop down, select the sales rep, and then we're good to go. All right, so now we have a sales rep on the load, and we're going to just show you how you pay a sales rep. So I'm going to put a check mark on the 3 loads I want to pay them on. I'm going to click preview. It's going to open up again a print preview through Adobe Reader. I'm going to go to here. And this is what a sales rep commission will look like based on ITS Dispatch. So you have your company information on your left-hand side. You have the sales rep's name, telephone number, report date, the date range, the criteria, and the loads that we're going to pay them on. All right, and to the far right, 10% of the margin of 1,600 is 160, etc. Okay, for a total down here, and that would be the sales rep commission report for that time frame that I've selected. Simple as that. Let's exit out of there. Again, once I generate it, this is going to move it to sales rep commission completed, and that way I don't pay Andy twice on the same loads. Okay, there we go. There's our loads. I can select the generation date, and it can show you just the 3 loads that I paid him on that one, and on the October, those 3 loads, etc. It is as simple as that. All right, so that covers us. Now for under accounting, accounting manager, moving our loads from completed to invoiced. Once we receive payment, marking them paid, and go into invoice paid. That covers us for our invoicing. Under accounting, driver pay manager. If you have company drivers, selecting your driver, clicking run report, you can select the loads that you want to pay them on, preview it. Once you've done so and you paid them, move it to completed. Again, this covers us for our driver pay manager. Back under accounting, you have sales rep commissions. As simple as selecting your sales rep, clicking run report, select the loads that you want to pay them on, and again, preview. It opens up your print preview. Once you have paid it, you can move it to generated. It will then move it to sales rep commission completed. Okay, then under accounting, we have carrier pay manager. And again, as simple as clicking run report. Once you receive the bill from the carrier, at that point in time, you can then create your print preview. You can move it to generated, saying that you're paying them on it, and it moves it to completed. Okay. Now, we're going to touch on one other thing, and that's under reports. We have managed reports, in which you can do a customer report, or all customers. You can do them in individual customers. Do it by ship date, delivery date, or invoice date. You can select the date range. The displayed options, check all. So it's going to show a load type, fuel surcharge, the weight, pro numbers, net profits, P&Ds, that's picks and drops, the sales reps, miles, the origin destination, additional charges, revenue, truck numbers, trailer numbers, line haul. Okay, simple as that. We're just going to click download. It's going to open up a print preview through Adobe Reader through Microsoft Excel. And this is what a customer report will look like. And again, you need to have Excel on your computer. It's going to open up in an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, and this is what it's going to look like. All right, so in this case, we have just AccuTrack Capital, but you could have selected all of your customers. So it shows me within that date range all the loads that I've done with them, the ship date, the delivery date. If I've added the pro miles, it would show me the pro miles, total miles and empty, the origin and destination, etc. All the way across, the line haul rate, the total revenue. Kind of scroll right on over here. If I have done my driver pay, my driver pay or the carrier pay would show up. And then it shows you your net profits. Okay, as simple as that. So now that is under, okay, reports. So that's a customer report. You can do a sales rep report or a driver pay report, external carrier pay. Again, all opens up in an external or as a Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so that's your reports. Back under reports. For those of you that are a broker and you use external carriers, if you're using your carrier pay manager correctly, you can click on a tax report. Now, this isn't the forms in which you send out the 1099s, but it is a report where you can see what you've done for the year and you paid all your carriers. Go all carriers, click generate. Again, it's going to open up in an Excel spreadsheet format. And this is okay, because I've only used one carrier last year, so Alabon Boat Haulers. Okay, their address, their tax ID number, and the total rate that I paid them. Okay, now if I had a number of carriers, it would all show up here with their address, tax ID, and total paid amount for that date range. Okay, so again, it doesn't print out a 1099 report, but it gives you all the breakdown for everything that you showed that you paid for the year. All right, let's exit out of there. Back under reports, we have advanced statistics. In here, it gives you a rough of what you've done from the month of December in 2016. Okay, if you click on the little graph below, it's going to show you all of the loads. It's going to show you your miles, empty miles, gross revenue, carrier fee, driver fee, etc. Sales rep, your net revenue, and your what you've got left over. Okay. Simple as that. All right, guys, that pretty much concludes us for our accounting. You're more than welcome to reach us at 888-338-9656, extension 2 For the Training and Support Department, our hours are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, Eastern Standard Time. Again, I'd like to thank you for participating in the accounting training and have yourself a great day.